morning, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to today's stream on the Balanced Trader. A couple of things I want to do before we debrief. I just want to make sure that we're doing things right. So, a couple of things that I do when I'm debriefing is, and I'm also planning. I'm always looking at the bigger picture. And I want to make sure that people are actually doing that, because it's very easy to get lost in the day-to-day trading, the price action, the dome, and everything else that goes on a very minute scale. But it's really important to make sure you're aware of what's going on in the bigger picture. And it's always a good idea, at least once or twice a day, just to have a look at the bigger picture to see where things are, because that might really help you to to gauge whether or not your trading plan, trading idea, which you'd always have, is a valid idea, or whether it's got the legs to run to where you want to run to target. So, sorry, that's the squawk. I'm going to stop talking over that. 20% of buyers are paying with all cash. Okay, so just if you are looking at my link, if you are, all two of you who are viewing at the moment, I have my weekly prep, which I don't really change too much in the week, but it's just basically giving me a gauge as to whether or not the market's in balance, whether or not, where are the areas I want to get involved in. So the link is there in my daily notes every day, just as a quick way to sort of reference. If you're in doubt at some point of the day, just have a quick look at what's the bigger picture. So I'm just going to quickly click on this now. Now, at first, it's just some blah, blah, blah that I copy and paste from CNBC, and it's just telling me what are the things I'm expecting for. And today's Wednesday, and the big thing that we're looking for is, well, we had durable goods, which just came in, slight miss, where we saw a bit of an impulse higher through yesterday's highs in the bonds, but we've quickly fallen back into yesterday's profile. And the Fed minutes. And we've got Nvidia as well, which might affect the Nasdaq post-close. I think that's coming up. So, but the key thing we're waiting for today is the Fed. But anyway, this is my weekly prep, which I'll be posting for you guys. And then I've got my monthly profile, and I've got a weekly profile, and then I've just got my last Friday's debrief as well. But okay, so let's go out in. So we start with the bigger picture. Where are we currently trading? We are trading at 39.27, which is, let me just switch screens. Can you see me? Yes, you can. Okay. Going forward, by the way, whilst we're trading, I've got some cool little banners. I'll just present these to you now. I got short. I got long. I got sit in your hands. I've got, where is my chop? This is the important one. Chop. Let's get a short chop zone. Basically beware. So when I spot that kind of behavior, I'm going to try and put a warning sign going forward. Let me bring myself back into view. Okay. So right now we are not in chop zone. Let me see what we're doing. Let me just get rid of that, see. And we are not long. Okay, so what we're looking at the monthly profile here. So what have I written down here? This is on the monthly. These are the areas that I expect to be, contested, difficult, reversals, inflection points, whatever you want to call them. But these are the areas I want to be watching. And on the monthly, we had this, upper area here, and this on the profile, on the TPO profile and the volume profile, and then we've got this cave going down all the way down to 39.30, where we're currently trading, where we expect to be a bit more choppy, a bit more difficult, and we've seen a lot of support around the 10s and 12s, which is these little areas that are highlighted here. These are all monthly. This is the monthly profile coming into today. Coming into this week. So this is not something that's just cooked up. So these kind of areas I expect chop, and that's kind of what we're finding. I'm I'm just going to quickly switch to the weekly profile. So this is the weekly profile, and as you can see, we're trading inside last week's range, so we're kind of in balance. So we've got weekly balance, and what do we expect? Well, we expect the market to sort of test the edges and then either break out and come back inside, or break out and then, you know, try and find, you know, go through some kind of a repricing mechanism where we just, you know, move lower or higher until we find some buyers or sellers. So the market's looking for balance. If it's in balance, it'll tend to stay in balance, and if it's moving out of balance, it will move until it finds another side to hold it, where we form like these higher volume distribution nodes. So this is from my weekly prep. And, you know, just looking at yesterday, I think yesterday I also mentioned in my debrief that this area would be an area which would be difficult to break. And it's kind of, you know, we're near the weekly lows, we're the prior weekly lows. We've got, you know, and I expected this area from last week to offer some kind of, you know, support, because we've got a little volume node here. So it's highlighted here with this very narrow blue band here, indicating support. And so yeah, that's just basically how I like to look at it, and I like to sort of do a little zigzag just to give me a picture as to what kind of price action I expect in those areas. And you can see I expect a bit chop. I expect chop because we're in balance, and when we have balance we are going to get chop. So I'm now going to leave this monthly profile and cut straight to today's work. So right, what have we got? This is my notes from today, trading notes for 25th of 2022. These are the news headlines that have kicked off that you should be aware of, and this is the data that's we just had durable goods come out, which was a slight miss. And yeah, let's go into yesterday's debrief. So coming into yesterday, we had this really important setup. Basically, we had a very big gap from the open, the Globex open. So that was the settlement to close, this little area I'm waving at now. And then we closed on the Globex, and then we opened this massive gap, and we spiked down aggressively, you know, stops going off, and we kind of held in a sensible area, which was at the previous day's lows. Then we bounced up, rotated, we kind of chopped around, and then we kind of we opened around the 30s, where what you need to be thinking here is the fact that the overnight inventory is very short. So what do we tend to do when we have an overly short or overly long inventory? We expect some kind of adjustment going on. Is my mic on? Yeah, it is. Okay. We expect some kind of adjustment to happen. Now, one of the key things that I've put as a tip, sorry, I'm not really displaying my notes very well to you, but I've put on my top tip is, you know, if the inventory is overly, there we go, is that better? Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so if the inventory is overly short, overly long, you expect to see some kind of adjustment. If you see no interest in taking that, you know, in that happening, then you've got to assume that the longs or the shorts on the open are still going to be in control. So in this case, we had an overly short inventory, overnight inventory. You'd expect some adjustment on the open, but there wasn't one. And when you're seeing that, when you see like, you know, no movement to the upside, you expect some kind of like an impulse, or, you know, some buying activity on the open, but that wasn't happening. So that inventory, those shorts, you know, it was, you know, the shorts were overly in control of that auction. And so when yesterday we opened,
Fed fund rate unchanged at spot 8.3% for May 24th.
The first thing we did is go to test the overnight low, because we opened about 20 ticks above the overnight low. We were in the 30s. I think the lows were at 10s, something like that. Was it? You know, it was 10s. It was 10s. So we had a poor low as well we had a poor low as well. So when you think, right, shorts, they're definitely in control. So what we've got an open, we've got an impulse, and basically we got a slight move. We had a slight move higher on the open, but it was like 4 or 5 ticks, and that quickly got reversed, and then we start sort of trending lower. But it was really choppy. It was contested. It was two-way. We were trading inside the overnight range. Initially, we were inside the Fridays range, but it was really choppy. There was a lot of defense around the 16s area, which happens to be this little. Hang on. For retailers and manufacturers, increase in transaction prices has more than offset. Let me try and turn him off. It's an interesting inflation-related commentary. Okay, so we found some support where we bounced back up at this little TPO gap. You can see where my cursor is. You can see there's a tiny little gap there. I haven't highlighted it because I don't normally look at too much what goes on overnight, but we just found a lot of buying there, and then we kind of pushed down until we tried to test these lows, where we found a lot of there was a lot of resistance to breaking lower, similar to the prior days RTH session, where there was a lot of support down there in the 10s. Okay, so when you're seeing us fail to adjust on the open, we're moving lower, and then we're looking to break the overnight low, yesterday's low. You've got to be thinking here, right, okay, there's a possibility for a trend. All that volume above where I currently am is going to be looking for stops somewhere below this little area here. And also we've got this little high volume node here from the big sell-off that we had on Friday. So you want to be thinking, right, okay, if we break below these 10s, 6s, previous week's settlement, these are all important levels, areas that I want to be sort of switched on to. I want to be thinking about short, and that was my plan for yesterday. But all the things that I'm saying now, I kind of failed to do in real time. And I ended up kind of trying to chase price, and seeing the early chop, I didn't quite get onto it. But once we broke below, the overnight lows, that was a signal to get in, and I missed it. But when you miss these things, you need to somehow just come to terms with it, and I did. But yeah, the worst thing you can do is when you miss something is go chasing, because you never know what can happen. The mistake I made yesterday was not being overly aggressive, was because I hate to chase A's. A period is the first half an hour of the session, and I don't like to chase A, especially when we're at an area where there's a possible inflection point. So I didn't want to chase it, because I thought that we could revert back and take the other side out, which we didn't. But anyway, so my notes are there in front of you for you to read through, go through in your own time. But these are the things that I sort of paid attention to on the open. The way that I looked at the market was fair. It was a fair. I was aligned with the market, but I just wasn't able to get hold of a structured trade. And I did see a couple of opportunities afterwards, but in real time I wasn't able to do that. So yeah, where did the auction get to? So what happened? We once we broke the overnight lows, we started to very cleanly move lower. Really, the price action tightened up, and we just started trending lower, which was great. This is a good sign for a trend. We formed this really big IB, which I think the IB low was 76, and we kind of hang around there for a bit, and then we broke for a couple of ticks to make a low of 78.72, which is an important level to watch out for today. The fact that we had this really big IB, okay, and we broke the IB to the downside, and we held, and we came back in quite quickly, should give you you should start thinking now, okay, we've had a really big IB, we've had a lot of movement off the open, maybe this move is over, because once we come back inside and we're holding inside that IB, And what happened was yesterday we spent a lot of volume hanging around the bottom of yesterday's multi-distribution. This volume ends up getting frustrated, and I'm just going to quickly swap to my price action chart. So just to quickly recap, we opened, we failed to take out these little swing highs from the pre-open going into the open. Then we broke down to 10s, very choppy, didn't want to get involved in that. Really messy, horrible price action. I think I took a short somewhere around here and I got whacked straight away, got stopped. After that, I'm looking for more confirmation. I'm looking for a cleaner move, and we got that move once we broke these lows here. You're seeing that, right? Yeah, you're seeing that. Okay, so once we broke those, the 06s, we started to really cleanly move down lower on the with the price action until we formed this IB low. Then we started to chop. Okay, once we start chopping, okay, you need to be thinking one of two things: has this got legs to move lower? And are we just basically consolidating or being absorbed down here? So is this just waiting to then move lower, or is it just getting all absorbed? So this was a tough call, but what we were seeing was a lot of volume being done here. So value shifted lower. Now, given the fact we've done so much volume and we haven't managed to get lower, this needs to sort of set off alarm bells. This chop might not be consolidation, it might be absorption. Someone's absorbing. And if you have a look at my notes from the weekly profiles at the beginning of the week, you'll see that I marked this area out as an area of possible support. It was the prior week's lows, and we did a lot of volume here. So what happened? This volume that got done, where I've denoted 5, 6, 7, 8, got frustrated, and eventually there's a price at which they're all going to start thinking about exiting their shorts, especially the shorts that are weaker. And this is what happened. And I think yesterday in my stream I was marking this out, and hopefully it'll be a bit clearer today because I've got my little banners that I'm going to try and put up for you guys. But these, basically we've got volume chasing price lower, lower, lower. And as volume is chasing the price lower, it gets stuck. And if it can't get low, if it doesn't get paid, if it doesn't get any reward for its effort, someone's going to start, getting out, and then someone else is going to start getting out, and then you're going to get this trickle effect, and we start to roll back. And when that does start to happen, initially it can be quite violent. But then you end up with chop, because overall we have been moving lower, so you're probably going to find some more sellers. So basically, we're going to start finding some two-way action, which is basically what happened afterwards. We got this chop. Horrible price action to be involved in, really hard to hold trades, and very similar to the prior days. If I was you guys, I would look at my notes from last Friday, and I would look at last Friday's reversal. It was a similar kind of reversal. Now, yes, the move last Friday was a bit more severe and the reversal was a lot more severe. But what I'm trying to say to you guys is when volume gets trapped at the top of the bottom of a day's trading and it doesn't get rewarded, eventually there is the possibility that might reverse. How strong is that reversal? It depends on how strong the person that was taking it there wanted to get involved. Maybe they're just being patient. But the likelihood of this move continuing lower is less, diminishing. It's not the kind of trend day that I like to do. Also, so let me just quickly show you again, just to my weekly analysis. And yeah, so this was last week's distribution on Friday. So again, what you can see from the distribution profile, we've got this multi-distribution profile low, which is kind of what we had yesterday. But the majority of the volume was done in the bottom part of, let me just check time because I don't want to run out of time. It's 10 minutes past. Okay, just in time to start watching a bit of more of that conversion. Okay, so you want to be aware of these Christmas tree style profiles, okay? And this is where profile can become quite useful. is gauging where the volume is, and candlesticks don't tell you this. They just show you where direction is, but they don't tell you where the volume is being done. And at the end of the day, volume shows you participation, and that participation has expectations. And if those expectations aren't met, then eventually they might react. Those participants might react. So it's really, really important to just have a look at yesterday's profile, and check out Friday's as well. I think I debriefed Friday as well. I may or may have not done, because I only just started doing this. But yeah, check out these profiles, put it in your notes, and be aware of it when volume gets trapped. So this applies to B distributions, B and Ps. So basically when you got volumes trapped, and basically a lot of yesterday's sell-off after the close was exasperated because we had a lot of volume being done at the top of the prior day's profiles. So I just want to make you guys aware of that. It's something that I watch out for. So this was a P distribution the other way around. So basically this is a B in reverse. So eventually there's a level at which this volume here is going to liquidate and drop. And that area is, I don't know, around the 50s here, if you can see. Let me just make it a bit bigger. So it's basically the same idea. So it doesn't just only apply to when shorts are getting caught in the hole, as Jim Dalton puts it. It works the other way around. People got overly long here. It looked like an extension of the short covering rally from Friday, and then all this distribution up in the top part of the distribution. Eventually, what you got to try and do is print screen. Just kind of try and draw a picture for you guys. What you want to do is basically, you want in your mind, or is basically draw where is the distribution, where is and to me it's somewhere around this 50 area, right? That's a really bad line, wonky as hell. And then once this distribution basically gives up, once the participants in this upper distribution see that they're wrong, you get that kind of reaction. And yesterday we had all the volume being done in this section, and then once all this profiling here is done after the fact. Okay, so the important bit was this low distribution where we still got value left lower from yesterday, so that might be a target early on in the day. But then basically this distribution here fueled the extension higher, and then we just we just did that. We chopped around. But okay, I hope that explains to everybody what I'm talking about. If it doesn't, again, I need to get down to making some videos on this stuff, because I think it will help people looking to trade the markets. These are my notes. All these little circles here are all the important areas I'm looking at. I put them down. Oh yeah, look, those are my realistic targets. Most of those little squiggles, most of those circles are on there. They're my short-term targets. I haven't really talked about what I'm expecting today, but basically today I'm expecting chop in this area here. So I'm just going to go quickly into what I'm expecting for today. I'm expecting some chop in this area here. I don't want to be involved in yesterday's distribution. I'm looking for breaks below the previous week's settlement, which is this area. Previous week's settlement. Just change the color. Let's change it to grey. I think it's grey. So I do not want to get involved really anywhere below here. That's the prior week settlement, this area here. And from here, I'm looking to get an early short on a pullback to take the trade lower. And above in this area here, I'm expecting chop. I find it's going to be, I'm just not interested in the longs, to be honest. We are in balance. We're in this area of balance. Oh, that's a really bad line. I am terrible at drawing lines with a squiggly pen. Right, we've got all this balance. We're in that area, and I expect very difficult price action. This is not fun, but I expect if longs can sustain above these 30s, this area here, I expect us to chop, grind, and then this thing's going to be really difficult to get through, and then we're going to try and push up to these highs up here, and then we might go and repair some of this poor structure left behind over here. But I'm not thinking that far. I don't think we're going to get that far. I think we've got the Fed minutes this afternoon, and I think the market is just going to be balancing in this area. So I'm looking for outside in trades really. So I'm more thinking along the outside in, but I'm going to be looking for clues on the open, the IB. Are there any impulses? I'm going to look to go with that kind of impulse, especially depending on where we open. Right now I think we're at 26, although I'm not quite sure. But if we open in the a little bit lower, if we open near the areas that I'm looking to trade, I'll be willing to take trades on if I see what I want to see, and I will try to let you guys know about that ahead of time. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now. That's the end of my debrief, my tips. But yeah, I put my tips in my notes as well. Tip 1 is just basically, being aware of the fact the inventory, if you don't get a reaction on the open, then you're probably going to get a continuation of what's been going on overnight. And then the second tip is just being aware of B profiles reversing and P profiles for that matter too. Okay, so I'll leave it at that, and thank you for watching, and I will catch up with you in a minute when I start my live stream. And yeah, thank you. Good luck with today.